ladies, I'm Amy, this is Declan, and we're going to be talking to you today about the concept of acceptance and commitment therapy, which really means how you can get some space from the thoughts that you don't want to be feeling. You know, all of those negative thoughts that you can get that come up: I'm not a good mum, I don't look good in this outfit, I'm too fat to wear this, I don't want to go to the gym today because everyone's judging what I'm going to be looking like. I don't want you to be thinking those thoughts anymore, and we want to teach you how you can get space from those thoughts and stop buying into them.
So a big part of this is how you can be playful with these thoughts. I mean, normally what will happen is a thought like that comes up, and instantly we want to fight it, or we take it so seriously. And normally we're thinking in our own voice. So when that thought comes up, I'm a bad mum, or I'm fat, it's in our own voice and it's instantly perceived as being true. The brain's going, you're right, you are a bad mum, and you are fat, and it starts compounding. What these techniques are really good at doing is giving you breathing room first to go, well, hang on, this may actually not be true. And then there's some cool techniques that we're going to teach you off the back of that to actually be able to laugh at them. Can you imagine getting to the point where you have the thought, I'm a bad mum, and it's funny? You know, there's a big saying in acceptance and commitment therapy, something that we love, which is when you can laugh at a thought, it no longer has power or control over you. It's no longer as painful or detrimental to your well-being. So where this comes from is an amazing man called Dr. Russ Harris, who's a Melbourne-based psychologist who wrote an amazing book, highly recommend checking it out, called The Happiness Trap, about how just trying to think positive all the time actually doesn't work. It's perfectly human and normal for you to have difficult thoughts come up. What goes wrong for a lot of people is when we get hooked by the thoughts. And I know Dr. Russ Harris taught us with the idea of it's like an alien grabbing onto your face, like the movie Alien, which no one wants. But when that thought, I'm a bad mum, or I'm fat, is right here, it's so hard to see around that. It's so hard to see all the other beautiful things in yourself and in your life. But if we can just get a little bit of like that much breathing room, that allows us to be able to move through that thought, be able to see all the other great things in ourselves and in our life, and it really does make a difference. So Amy's going to teach you guys the technique of how to get that space, and it seems so basic, right? It seems so simple, and I guarantee you'll learn it and go, really? That's it? That's what's going to make the difference? Trust us, try it. It is amazing how effective this is. So Ames, how can they get that little bit of breathing room when that thought does come up?
So essentially all we're doing here is changing the language around the thought when it comes up for you, and recognizing that it's not actually true. You're not actually going to be buying into this thought. You're giving yourself the space between this thought that's coming up for you. So it's really just changing the sentence. Instead of I am a bad mum, it's now I am having the thought that I'm a bad mum. And how does that feel for you when you say that to yourself? I'm having the thought that, and then fill in that blank space for whatever the thought is that you don't want to attach to anymore.
Because what that does is it reminds our brain that this is just a thought. The thought may or may not be true. I can think that llamas are purple. It doesn't mean it's automatically true. So it gives us that little bit of breathing room to go, okay, maybe llamas aren't purple, maybe I'm not that bad of a parent, or maybe I don't look that bad in this dress. And that, now, as a heads up, it's not going to make you automatically or instantly feel amazing. That technique is really good for just getting this little unhook, that little bit of breathing room, dropping the pain or the difficulty of that thought by like 20%. But that 20% is enough to give us the space to then do some really fun techniques. And they're my favorite ones. If you're more of an auditory person, if you're more into podcasts and music, I'll recommend the auditory techniques. If you're more visual, definitely use the visual techniques. So if you're more into pictures and graphs, either way, play with both. But what you'll do, and I actually recommend doing this with us, is take one of those difficult thoughts. Whether it be I'm a bad mum, I'm fat, I'm a failure, and close your eyes and let it come up and recognize that it brings a bit of pain with it. But then implement that technique that Amy just shared with you. I'm having the thought that. And notice how it drops by about 20%. And now we're going to have fun with it. I'm going to invite you to change the thought so you're hearing it in the voice of Elmo, or in the Cookie Monster. Or maybe you're hearing your mom say that, but she's had a few too many cocktails, so it's a little bit slurred. And notice what happens. You begin to smile and laugh at it. Or if you're more visual, imagine that you've typed up that thought, in a Word document on a screen and you can see it in front of you. Can you change the colour of it? Can you change the font? Can you make it the fancy script that's at restaurants? Can you make it the bubbly, playful font that's on kids' colouring in books? Can you make it wingdings, which no one's even sure why it exists? And then take the thought and begin shrinking it. Can you make it a size 11, a size 8, a size 5? All the way down till it's still there, but you really have to look for it to find it. It's not fighting, it's not hiding, it's not getting rid of it. It's still there, but it's no longer so overwhelming. It's not so big, it doesn't fill the screen, it doesn't fill our minds. And notice as you do this, just check back in with yourself. How do you feel compared to when the thought first came up? Did you manage to find the humour in it, the playfulness? Did you manage to laugh at it? One of the most beautiful things from this technique is, as we said at the start, when you can laugh at a thought, or when you can at least get enough breathing room from it so you can see around it, it's no longer as painful, it's no longer as difficult. And the best part is you haven't fought the thought, you haven't gone head to head with it, you've not denied that it's there, you've just not bought into it as much.
Cool, so that all sounds really great in theory, but let's see how it works in real life. Sarah, do you want to come over and give us a hand?
Sure.
Onto the hot seat.
So, I want you to tell me about a thought that you've noticed that you have recently, or maybe even just something that you know that there's a lot of your clients and people at Tribe have that they're really struggling with.
Look, a big one for me and most women at Tribe at the moment is around parenting. Parenting comes up a lot, and one that I certainly, suffer from is I'm a bad mum. I'm an impatient, angry, bad mum.
Yeah, and it's a very powerful thought to have, and something that's understandable that it really grabs you when you have those thoughts. So what I want you to start to do, and see if this makes a difference for you, is to recognize that it might not be true. It might not be 100% true, because at the moment, if we're running at a 100%, yeah, I really am fully believing that, it's going to be really hard to get it down to 10% straight away. So if you try to change the language around that to, I'm having the thought that I'm a bad mum, how does that feel for you?
So I am having the thought that I'm an impatient mum.
Yeah. And how does that feel for you when you say that?
It almost feels that I'm looking at me, I'm not in me.
Yeah, exactly. So then we've got that space that we were talking about earlier, that you are not the thought. You are not 100% connected to that thought. You now have that space in between it, and you can recognize that it's just a thought that is happening in your mind at the time.
Yeah, nice.
Rather than absolute truth. So even if I invite you to close your eyes, Sarah, and first let's check in with what feeling sort of comes up. If you were to just think, I'm a bad, angry, impatient mum. How's that instantly there's that shrug, right? You feel it in your body.
I feel it because, to be honest, it's such a common thought for me.
Yeah.
And some days it feels more real than others, but some days it actually really feels real.
Yeah, and it's amazing how quick the body catches that response. Like the shoulders went up, we went, So close your eyes and have the thought again. But this time, just catch yourself either in your head or out aloud. Get that breathing room. I'm having the thought that I'm an angry, impatient mum.
I'm having the thought that I'm an impatient mum.
Do you notice it's about 20% lower in the body?
Yeah.
The reaction's not as much.
Yeah.
We've got a little bit of space.
Yeah.
Now let's see if we can dial it down even more and start having fun with it.
Yeah.
So now we've got some breathing room, keeping your eyes closed. So having the thought that I'm an angry, impatient mum, see if you can, actually let's make this a game. Can you sing that thought to me in the tune of Happy Birthday?
I'm a bad... I'm a bad mum to my kids. I'm a bad mum to my kids.
I love it.
I yell at them.
So keep your eyes closed, going back to it. How's it feel now?
Yeah, it feels good.
Now imagine Elmo saying it, keeping your eyes closed.
Yeah.
Imagine Elmo saying, I'm a bad mum to my kids.
I'm a bad mum to my kids.
Like a tickle me Elmo, he gets a laugh at the end as well. Let's do some visual ones. Keep your eyes closed. Type the thought up on a Word document in front of you. And now see if you can change the colour. Choose any colour you want.
Yeah.
Can you change the font? Make it like a really sort of squiggly one.
Yeah.
And just select the size of the font and slowly shrink it down. And when it gets down to like a font 3, just check back in with your body in 0 to 10. How much do you feel the bodily reaction, the physical reaction to this difficult thought? That before was an instantaneous 10.
Yeah. Even doing that exercise, I went from a dark, bold black
Yeah.
to a squiggly pink.
Oh,
and-
wow. Yeah, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah, so visual really sort of resonated. Yeah, that's cool. And so obviously the more you do this, the more you'll find very specific ones
Yeah.
work for you. And the more, for those of you watching do this, you'll find very specific ones that really gel with you and work with you. So I know for me, my automatic go-to, being a bit of a sci-fi nerd, is I go straight to Yoda and I mix up the sentence.
Yeah.
I know some of my members love Elmo, some of them love the visual ones. It's
Yeah.
more finding what works for you as an individual, and you'll learn
Yeah.
how to do this in under 60
Yeah.
seconds.
Yeah. What I like about that, because at Tribe we often talk about things, recognizing that that's just a story you tell
Yes.
yourself. It's not true.
Yes.
It feels like a really in the moment way
Yeah.
to see that.
Yes.
As opposed to waiting until a few days later when you've got some time to reflect.
Yeah.
It's a nice way to sort of play it down and detach yourself from those emotions that come with those stories.
Yeah.
And just to work through it.
Yeah, so as I said, the more you practice it, you can really get to the point where you can do this in 60 seconds.
Yeah,
or
cool.
under.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Cool.